All right, folks, buckle up, because today we're taking a deep dive into something pretty wild, the connection between our sense of smell and, get this, our brain health.
It's fascinating stuff, really.
You got that right. And, our listeners sent in some really interesting research from the National Institute on Aging and the University of Chicago. And, well, let's just say I was pretty surprised by what I learned.
I bet. What we're finding is that our sense of smell can actually act like an early warning system for our brains.
Oh, okay, I'm all ears.
Think about it. Our sense of smell is directly connected to the brain. And multiple studies have shown a link between a declining sense of smell, also known as anosmia.
Right, anosmia.
Exactly, and a higher risk of developing cognitive issues like Alzheimer's.
So if someone starts having trouble, identifying different scents, it could be a red flag.
Exactly, yeah. One study that really caught my eye was the Baltimore Longitudinal Study of Aging, which is, the longest-running study on healthy aging here in the U.S. And they found that even a subtle decline in a person's ability to identify odors was linked to a higher chance of developing mild cognitive impairment, or MCI.
Really? Wow, who would have thought that our noses could hold clues to our future brain health?
Right.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and the University of Chicago took this research even further.
Oh, wow.
They found that a rapid decline in smell, even before any noticeable cognitive symptoms, was a strong predictor of future Alzheimer's-related changes in the brain.
So we're talking about a noticeable drop in smell over a short period of time.
Precisely.
Okay.
And what's really interesting is that the study compared this risk level to that of carrying the APOE4 gene, which is, as you know, a well-known genetic risk factor for Alzheimer's.
Okay, hold on a second. That's huge. It's almost like your nose is sending out an SOS signal, but why? Why would our sense of smell be so closely tied to cognitive function and those specific brain changes associated with Alzheimer's?
That's the million-dollar question. And while we don't have a definitive answer yet, there are some intriguing theories emerging.
Okay.
One theory suggests that the damage caused by Alzheimer's might actually begin in areas of the brain related to smell and memory.
Interesting. So those areas are hit first, and the decline in our ability to smell acts as a sort of canary in the coal mine.
Exactly.
Fascinating.
It's like a sneak peek into what might be happening deeper in the brain.
Right.
Another theory focuses on neuroregeneration and plasticity. These are essentially the brain's abilities to repair itself and form new connections, which are obviously crucial for cognitive health.
So a decline in our sense of smell might reflect a broader problem with the brain's ability to maintain its health and keep those connections firing.
Precisely.
Okay, so both theories point to the same outcome, that smell loss could be a signal of deeper issues with brain health. It makes you realize how interconnected our senses are with our overall well-being.
Yeah.
This is blowing my mind.
It is remarkable, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it begs the question, if a simple smell test could help identify those at risk for cognitive decline,
Right.
what could that mean for the future of brain health?
That's a great question. Imagine if doctors could use smell tests just like vision and hearing tests to, assess cognitive risk as we age.
Yeah.
That could be revolutionary.
You're absolutely right, and that's exactly what researchers are exploring.
Wow.
But before we, get ahead of ourselves,
Okay.
let's delve a little deeper into what these smell tests look like and what they've revealed about the specific brain changes linked to smell loss.
Perfect. Let's unpack that.
Those scratch-and-sniff cards we used to have as kids?
Oh, yeah.
Well, the smell tests used in these studies are actually quite similar.
Interesting.
Participants are presented with a series of different scents and have to identify them from a set of choices.
Ah, nostalgia.
Right.
So simple, yet so insightful.
Yeah.
And by combining these test scores with brain imaging studies like PET scans and MRIs, researchers are actually seeing the connection between smell loss and physical changes in the brain.
Exactly. They've found that those who struggle to identify odors often have smaller gray matter volume in areas crucial for both smell and memory.
Right.
Areas like the amygdala, entorhinal cortex, and hippocampus.
Yeah.
These are, key players in processing memories and emotions. And it seems that damage in these regions can impact our sense of smell.
And what about amyloid and tau, those harmful proteins linked to Alzheimer's? I remember reading that they played a role here, too.
You're absolutely right. Research, especially from the Baltimore Longitudinal Study of Aging, showed a strong link between lower scores on those smell tests and higher levels of amyloid and tau in specific brain regions. And, these proteins are known to disrupt communication between brain cells
Right.
and are considered hallmarks of Alzheimer's disease.
Okay, so let me get this straight. We have these smell tests that can potentially tell us not only if our brain is shrinking in key areas, but also if we have a buildup of these harmful proteins. That's incredible.
It is incredible.
Wow.
And it truly highlights the potential for using smell tests as part of a broader approach to identifying those at risk for cognitive decline.
This is groundbreaking stuff, but let's bring this back to our listeners.
Sure.
What does all of this research mean for us, for our everyday lives? What should we be taking away from this?
Well, I think the key takeaway here is to pay attention to your sense of smell, especially as you get older.
Okay.
While some decline in smell is, a normal part of aging,
Right.
a sudden and significant change, especially if it seems to come out of nowhere, could be a sign to, discuss with your doctor.
So don't just dismiss it as, getting older. If you notice a real shift in your ability to smell, it's worth bringing up.
Absolutely. And it's not just about losing your sense of smell completely. Even if you're having trouble distinguishing between certain scents, that could be a sign to pay attention to.
So it's all about being proactive about our brain health, right? Our sense of smell might just be the key to unlocking earlier detection and intervention for cognitive decline.
Exactly.
It's amazing how something as seemingly simple as our sense of smell can provide such valuable insights into the complexities of the brain.
Yeah.
It really makes you wonder about the power of our senses and how they are interconnected with our overall well-being.
I'm right there with you.
But before we get too carried away,
Yeah.
there's another layer to this story that we need to explore.
Yeah.
We've talked about smell loss as a potential indicator of cognitive decline, but what about the speed at which that decline happens? Could that be a factor as well?
That's an excellent point, and it's an area of research that has yielded some truly fascinating findings.
Okay, I'm ready for round two. Tell me more.
Well, let's talk about brain volume. As we age, it's natural for our brains to lose some volume.
Right.
But the rate at which this happens can vary significantly from person to person. And guess what? Researchers are finding a connection between the rate of brain shrinkage and our sense of smell.
So is it possible that the better your sense of smell, the slower your brain might be shrinking?
That's the general idea.
Wow.
And this connection becomes even more pronounced when we look at specific areas of the brain.
I knew there was more to the story, so tell me, where are we going next on this deep dive into the brain?
Well, let's talk about those areas of the brain that seem to be most affected by this process.
Okay.
And what it could mean for our overall cognitive function. We were just talking about how the rate of brain shrinkage might be connected to our sense of smell. And another study from the National Institute on Aging, this one published in the journal Neurology, kind of dove into this idea. And they found something fascinating. They found that a better sense of smell was actually associated with slower loss of brain volume over time.
Okay, this is blowing my mind. So my ability to smell like freshly cut grass or my mom's cookies could be connected to how quickly my brain is shrinking.
You got it.
Tell me more. Which parts of the brain are we talking about here?
You're exactly right to be focusing on specific brain areas.
Okay.
This study highlighted the frontal and temporal lobes. These areas, as we discussed earlier, are essential for, thinking, memory, and you guessed it, processing smells.
It's like everything is coming full circle.
Yeah.
So a decline in smell could indicate that these crucial areas of the brain are shrinking faster. And what does that mean for our overall cognitive abilities?
Those are great questions. The study went on to show that folks with a sharper sense of smell also tended to have a slower decline in specific cognitive abilities. We're talking, memory, attention,
Right.
how quickly you process information, even sensor-motor integration.
Hold on, back up a second. Sensory motor integration. Are you telling me that my ability to smell like lavender could be related to how quickly I react when I see a yellow light turning red?
It's not a direct cause and effect, of course,
Right.
but the research suggests a connection between our sense of smell and the way our brains coordinate movement based on what we're seeing, hearing, and feeling.
This is wild. So putting it all together, a decline in smell could indicate that certain areas of my brain are shrinking faster and my overall cognitive function might be declining more rapidly.
Yeah.
That's a lot to process.
It is, and this connection was even stronger in individuals who who eventually developed cognitive impairment or dementia.
So it's like a double whammy, a decline in smell, and especially a rapid one, might signal both accelerated brain volume loss and a faster rate of cognitive decline, particularly for those already at a higher risk for dementia.
Hmm.
This really underscores the importance of early detection, doesn't it?
Absolutely, and that's why these findings are so groundbreaking. They point to the potential of something as simple as a smell test to identify individuals who might be on a faster trajectory towards cognitive decline.
Right.
Early detection is key because it opens up a world of possibilities for intervention, whether that's lifestyle changes, cognitive training, or even enrollment in clinical trials for potential treatments.
This is all fascinating, but let's be real for a second.
Sure.
Sometimes we lose our sense of smell for completely normal reasons,
Yeah.
like a nasty cold or allergies.
Right.
How do we differentiate between those, everyday sniffles and something more serious that warrants a conversation with our doctor?
You're absolutely right to bring that up. It's crucial to look at the big picture.
Okay.
A temporary loss of smell from a cold is nothing to worry about.
Right.
But a persistent and noticeable decline that just doesn't seem to go away
Uh-huh.
might be worth investigating.
So we're talking about paying attention to the duration and severity of the change. A short-term loss that goes away on its own is probably fine, but a persistent and noticeable change might warrant further investigation.
Exactly. It's also important to consider, how quickly the change occurred.
Right.
A gradual decline over many years is different than a rapid change that seems to happen, overnight.
Yeah.
That sudden shift might be more concerning.
And what about the specific types of smells we're losing the ability to identify? Does that matter?
There's some research suggesting that it might, for example, losing the ability to smell certain musky or floral scents could be more closely linked to cognitive decline than losing the ability to smell, say, peppermint or citrus.
Okay.
But this is still an area that requires further investigation.
Okay, so we're still learning a lot about the nuances of this connection, but what's clear is that our sense of smell is giving us a window into the health of our brains.
Hmm.
It's almost like a secret language that we're just beginning to decipher.
I love that analogy. It really captures the essence of this research.
Yeah.
And it highlights the importance of paying attention to all of our senses, not just our sight and hearing.
Right.
Our senses can provide incredible insights into our overall health and well-being.
And it makes you wonder, what other hidden connections might we uncover as we continue to explore this fascinating world of our senses? I have a feeling there are many more surprises waiting to be discovered.
That's the beauty of scientific exploration.
Yeah.
It's a never-ending journey of discovery.
Absolutely.
The human body, especially the brain, is a complex and amazing thing. Who knows what other secrets we'll uncover as we delve deeper.
Exactly. And perhaps the next time our listeners savor the aroma of their morning coffee or walk past a fragrant flower garden, they'll appreciate the intricate dance between their senses and their brains in a whole new way.
I hope so. It's a reminder to pay attention to those everyday sensory experiences and appreciate the incredible power of our brains.
Well, on that note, we're going to wrap up this deep dive into the world of smell and brain health. We hope you found it as enlightening and thought-provoking as we did.
Yeah.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep that sense of smell sharp.